You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
In a world where podcasters talk about the same old pop culture topics, two heroes must rise to bring forth a new era of podcast entertainment. The Cigar Nerds Podcast. Movie reviews, pop culture debates, news, science, and even beer reviews. We're stranger than Stranger Things and funnier than an evil sewer clown. CigarNerdPodcast.com. We all smoke down here, Georgie.
Hello, and welcome again to the Monster Sci-Fi Show podcast. I am your host, The Monster, back again to give you another sci-fi news for this week. So let's get started. The big news that I have, the first one, is that Bill and Ted are coming back to the big screen.
Excellent!
Another thing that I want to talk about is going to be Cobra Kai has been renewed for season 2 on YouTube. And lastly, I will be talking about the just released trailer, I guess a teaser trailer, for the Predator movie. So I'm going to review it as I'm doing the podcast. Alright, so let's get started with Bill and Ted. If you don't know who those guys are, let me introduce you to them by them introducing themselves.
I'm Bill S. Preston, Esquire. And I'm Ted Theodore Logan. Yeah! And we're Wild Stallions!
So that right there is a nutshell profile of these two guys. They're a bunch of dumb teens. And their first movie, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, came out in 1989, I believe. And it starred Keanu Reeves as Ted and Alex Winter as Bill. And basically the premise is that these guys had to do a presentation for high school. And they happened to have a time machine that was from a phone booth back then. So it'll be kind of weird because no one has a phone booth to make a reference to. But they were able to go back into the past, and they saw many different characters which they brought from the past to the future, like Socrates, Napoleon, Joan of Arc, Genghis Khan, and all that dumb fun. And it is dumb fun, to the point that it's like, I want to say that like it's a guilty pleasure, because it's on its whole, it is funny as hell. But for me, I have enjoyed those characters, and it's been a while since I've seen them, and my wife and I are trying to introduce Bill and Ted to our kids. I mean, they already have been exposed to many other things. This is just one of many characters that are memorable that they should know from their past, considering we're going to get a Bill and Ted third movie. The second one was The Bogus Journey, which I think was 1991. That one, not my favorite, but it was still enjoyable just because they're just, you know, if you get to have a moment in which you can play chess, or not chess, Twister with death, it's kind of funny. So, on that whole, it's stupid, dumb fun. And I'm looking at how they're going to, one, bring this back many years later. And basically, Bill and Ted are kind of like my age right now, in which they have a family. And there's a crisis, basically. Is that because Wild Stallion has not created their... And basically, Wild Stallion has not gotten that one-hit song. So basically, they have to save the universe once more. They have to save the universe by, or they have to save the future by creating this hit song that Wild Stallion is famous for, and hence why the future is set to be all about wild stallions, and trying to be excellent to each other. So I get what you're going with this. It would be kind of cool to actually go revisit these characters much older, considering what has been done before. And it kind of brought me back to a place that I remember this time. And now I look back at it and God, I was such an idiot back then. Versus, well, I'm still an idiot now, but I'm an older idiot now. And now I have responsibility. So it kind of works in that sense for me because I can relate to it much better. I'm just wondering if my kids or this generation will get into this movie as well. But, Keanu Reeves, who knew after all this, he would become a major, studio actor. He did the damn Matrix, and he's now kind of revamped the gung fu genre for John Wick, which he is currently in production. Just the other day, it just started for John Wick. So right now, Bill and Ted is in pre-production. So when John Wick is done, he'll be moving on to Bill and Ted. So I think it might be time if you want to revisit these characters, but in a different setting, which I'm kind of okay with. And the reason why I bring this up because it kind of leads right into Cobra Kai. If you have not seen Cobra Kai or don't even know what the hell is Cobra Kai, let's go back to the Karate Kid, the original Karate Kid with Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita. Basically, the Karate Kid is the everyman or the every kid that finally stands up to a bully that wins a karate championship by that famous kick to the face to his bully, who was Johnny Lawrence. So what is interesting with Cobra Kai is that the exact same character, kind of like watching many years later how his life since that time hasn't exactly turned out for the greatest. Not even the least bit positive. He is basically living alone, has a horrible life. I believe he does have a child, but doesn't even see his child. His mom has long passed. And basically, he lives in a dump. He hates his life. And you can trace it all back down to that famous kick to the face. Now, having said this, one of the things that I liked about the Karate Kid was that, sure, you got to win and you became a hero to many people to rise up and to overcome challenges. But that was back then. So as much as Johnny's life progressed downward, Daniel's life, the Karate Kid, went upwards. And he became a car dealer. And he has like a major dealership called LaRusso. And he's on television, he's on the radio. And he becomes the douchebag that Johnny used to be. And it's an interesting role reversal. So I saw the first episode of Cobra Kai on YouTube, and it's about 28 minutes long, or less than a half an hour. And I kid you not, it is, I don't want to curse because I don't want to do any editing here, but it is damn good. Like, oh my God, it has like the 80s feels all over again. Even like the musical choices in which Johnny is drinking and driving, and it's like reliving those moments of his face getting kicked and him falling onto the mat and his sensei choking him and all that. I'm like, oh my God, it is damn perfect. For that half an hour, I was enthralled by this. So I'm thinking, Bill and Ted really can come back and do this many years later, as their life didn't turn out great, and they have to save the future and turn things around. And I'm like, it kind of speaks to me a lot. And I'm kind of hoping that Bill and Ted does that, and I want to continue with Cobra Kai, because I'm really excited about Cobra Kai. It is really damn good. And as of today, it did get renewed for season 2. So it is on YouTube, and I don't know if it's going to be free for the whole entire season. I know it's a RedTube series. I think the first 2 maybe are free, and then the rest you're going to have to pay for. But honestly, I'm really happy for Cobra Kai. I did not think that a concept like this would work, in which you would have the exact same actors doing the exact same characters many years later and change the roles altogether. Because to have sympathy for Johnny, considering what he did in the original Karate Kid movie, blew me away. And I am so on Johnny's side, considering after the first episode, I'm like, yeah, go open up your dojo and have no mercy against Daniel and take him out. Take out his leg. I don't care how many ways you want to do this. Just end Danny, because Danny is an ass. And I'm sure it's not on purpose, but it comes across beautifully, and I love it. So I cannot be more than pleased, but to highly recommend Cobra Kai. And again, if Bill and Ted can do this on that level, sign me up. I will give you my money gladly. Okay, so let's move on to the last point here, in which I'm going to be talking about Shane Black's The Predator. The only thing that I know about this is that, okay, we're getting another Predator movie. And Olivia Munn's in it. So again, I have to like it, right? Because she's in it. She's one of many that I've had fantasies for. Not the Predator part, but any case, I still like her a lot. She's enjoyable to watch. So let me go ahead and play this trailer, and I'll play the trailer for you. So even though it's an audio part, I will be watching it, and then once that is over, I'm going to tell you my reaction to that trailer. All right, I'll be back in a moment.
Tell me about the mission. Did you see anything unusual?
Like an alien, you mean?
You saw something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And your men? Someone or something tore them to pieces.
I think they're attempting hybridization. They're upgrading on every planet they visit.
We need to know if you pose a threat.
We're assassins. Isn't posing a threat kind of the point?
Alright, so I finished watching the trailer, and it starts off with this weird what's in the box scenario, and this kid's opening up the box, and inside he has Predator gear. So basically this is like what, a Predator loot crate basically. Then he got all these nice replicas, but he is activating I guess the ship, and the ship is coming down to Earth. So the question is, whose gear is this? Is it making any kind of reference to Schwarzenegger's encounter like they did in Predator 2? And then basically, I guess the ship, there is a Predator on board and he's going after whatever people that's on Earth. And, okay. The moment that I was kind of waiting for was Olivia Munn. And she was talking about how the Predator is basically upgrading its technology on whatever planet it encounters, and it's learning that way. But I guess the bigger question that I'm wondering here is this any way connected to what has been done before? And it's kind of, it's a bit frustrating at times because the first Predator was fantastic. Without a doubt, fantastic. Second one, not so much. Danny Glover, I'm sorry, does not really scream action star, although at the time, he did Lethal Weapon. So I'm like, okay, I get it. But the only saving grace for Predator 2 is that one shot where you see on a Predator ship an alien skull. As in from Aliens. That skull is the trophy head against the wall, and you do see it. That was the moment that I'm like, alright, at least I got to see that. At least there's that acknowledgement there was Alien versus Predator, like in the comics that Dark Horse did for many years in between. So, move on to, finally, we get not one, but 2 Aliens versus Predator movies. Okay? First one, like with most crossovers, is going to have to end in a tie. And I hate that. Just like Freddy versus Jason, it ends in a tie. I wish they wouldn't do that. But, what else are you going to do? Or when you have a comic book crossover and you have X-Men meets the Titans. Sure, they may kind of battle at first, but then they find out that they have a common enemy, and then they are friends together, and then, hey, problem solved. So after those 2 movies were done, and I think the second one was a lot better, because they got rid of that whole, what the hell's the pyramid doing in Antarctica? That kind of storyline, like, I don't forget it. It's ridiculous. The second one was a little better. But then we come into Predators, in which they took humans off our planet and put it on their homeworld. So basically, they were just prey, and the hunters were the predators, and they were going after them. That was kind of interesting, only because it just kind of switched things around. Here, I don't know where this is taking place. I don't know where this is going. It just seems as if you're making this like a more suburban Predator storyline, as opposed to Schwarzenegger is going out into the jungle and there's the Predator. Or the urban one, and the second one with Danny Glover, in which he's fighting, gangs, and as well as the cops and the violence of the city. I get all that. But what kind of violence would there be, in suburbia? Aggravation over parking in a mall, you just can't find after 5 minutes. Wow. So it comes. I like Shane Black. I really enjoy his work. Iron Man 3 is still enjoyable. I know a lot of people don't care about that, but here I just don't get it. And granted, this is just a teaser trailer. And it clocks in about a minute and 46 seconds. So it's very short. So it's not a whole lot of explanation. And honestly, when I saw Jurassic World, the second one, as well as... what is the other movie that I just saw recently? Well, whatever the case is. The initial trailers sucked. And when I saw Avengers Infinity War, the trailer was played again, but it was different, and the story was more fleshed out in that trailer, and it felt better. So I'm kind of hoping that the second trailer, or the first full trailer, will give a better sense as to what the storyline is going to be, and kind of clarify where and when this is taking place. But for the most part, I'm not exactly wowed by this. I'm just like, okay, but I have more questions than I have answers. So, is it one predator? Is it two predators? Is it to catch a predator? That's a whole different movie. So, we'll see from this point on what happens. But, you know, I'm just as confused if you are. And I don't know where this is going. Because honestly, I think the Predator franchise, if you want to call it that, I don't know where you can go with this anymore. You've kind of did the crossover bit with Aliens, but unless you're going to go over, maybe cross it over with Wolverine, he's dead, or X-Men, I don't see this working by itself as a name recognition that has quality and action all over it. I don't feel that anymore. So again, the only reason why I'm interested in this is Olivia Munn, but whatever. Alright, so this is going to be the end of my podcast. As always, let me know what your thoughts are about Bill and Ted coming back to the big screen, or if you've seen Cobra Kai. Have you seen the first couple episodes or the whole entire first season? I would love to know what your thoughts are about that, as well as this damn trailer for The Predator. Again, I like to know what you guys are thinking. So, how can you do that? Simply, you just email me, man. That's all. Let me know what you're out there. The email is simple. It's monsterscifishow@gmail.com. You can follow me on the various social networks. So again, thank you for listening to me and to the Monster Sci-Fi Show podcast. It's sci-fi from a certain point of view. Good night.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping through Amazon.com or the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.